Alright everybody, welcome back to Anime Savants, and this week, I am Haruka, which, I mean, there's like a shit ton of Harukas, so y'all can just guess which one. Just guess. Just guess.
This week, I'm Tony Chopper.
Oh, I love Chopper. Man, I lost my fucking Chopper pen that I got from,
oh, wow.
Like, because my dumbass put it on the outside of my backpack, and of course, a nigga just, like, reached over and just chop that shit off my backpack as I'm walking out. And I was like, you know what? I asked for that. Because I put it on the outside of my backpack on the New York subway. So what the fuck else was I expecting? Like, okay.
I think Chopper is super underrated as a character. I think he's super underrated as merchandise. And he's also the character I worry the most about for this live action One Piece that's coming up.
They started filming.
I know.
They started filming. We gon'...
You know what? God bless him. Good luck. That's all I got. Good luck. It's gonna be a long haul with that one.
Yeah. Okay. So, what should we start with? I feel like nothing happened in Ronny Toss. Well, stuff happened in Ronny Toss. But
there was a whole lot of... Remember I said last week... We can start there. Remember I said last week that I was like, we're going to get one of those episodes that's like 90% a flashback. Yeah. And all exposition in order to like info dump us as to why the characters are doing whatever they're doing. Yeah. There were things... And again, I don't read the manga, so I don't know if this was handled in a slightly different way, nor do I know very much about the mangaka to know if they've done any other work. But like one issue, it's not a big issue, but just like a minor storytelling complaint is, it seems that now we're at an arc where characters know each other, they have long pasts with each other. Yeah. The whole, Gene... Ruthven, who we now, learned a lot more about his backstory, which they hinted at in the first season, and then Chloe, all seem like they were, in the past, intricately interlinked with each other. Yeah. But we didn't get a lot of, like, foreshadowing of this, and so... That's why we had to spend so much time in this episode. Like, okay, we're going to go back in time, like 200 years. Now we're going to walk through the whole history of the Optier family. Yeah. Then we're going to introduce how Chloe knew Ruthven, something about the politics of the world, her introduction to Jean, how critical Jean was in breaking her out of her shell, Ruthven's betrayal, a little bit of the backstory of the Beast, and then like individual scenes were like Noe getting to know the butler and becoming friends. Nania's relationship with Chloe, which is different than all the other sort of shadow cursed curse bearers that we've seen in the past, because this was much more symbiotic, consensual. We know that Chloe's very powerful because she basically one-shots Noe at the... Well, yeah, also, she takes out Ruthven and also takes out Noe in the beginning of the episode. It knocks him unconscious. So we learned a lot of things. I don't know if I prefer the way that it was presented, because it was just a lot of backstory, emotional loading of things. But do you think
that they could have put it in, like, the first core anywhere? Do you think, like, Chloe should have been introduced earlier? Because the way I see it as though, like, I think this arc is going to end up being more so about Jean than anyone, because she's the main one that's linked to Chloe. And I think this might be the beginning of Jean, like, recognizing Ruthven for who the fuck he actually is. So I think, like, it makes sense that the info dump comes, because we need that for her to hit her next character arc. At least to me, that's what it seems like they're setting.
Oh, I don't disagree with that at all. I think that is true. It is something that was needed. And so that's why I'm not upset about the content. These are all questions that, as someone who's not a manga reader, and I didn't really like dig into like any of the wikis to just refresh myself before the beginning of the season. So it's good information. And I think that now that we've established the various characters, especially Chloe's character, who, is going to be the antagonist for the foreseeable future, minus any twists or anything else that happens. I think it's worthwhile to explain it. There's nothing wrong with explaining it. What I get at is, and we'll probably see this next season when, not for Vanitas, but for like Chainsaw Man, there are certain storytellers that are very good at weaving in just enough foreshadowing about character motivations and then future events, so that when things happen they feel like a logical, understandable progression. Even when you get brand new characters introduced, you've basically paved the way and paved the ground for it, so it all feels like, oh, this is logical, you know. Oda gets a lot of shit for having arcs with 180 characters in it, and each one gets like one cell per manga chapter, and you're trying to piece together this big story. But you got to give credit where credit's due. He is able to balance that humongous roster and all these little story threads
and make it make sense
in a way that makes the reveals that happen not feel like they come out of thin air. Like when Cypher Pole shows up somewhere, or a new ability is displayed, it doesn't require that we then have to have a lengthy 3-chapter flashback in order to explain why these characters know each other, so on. So I'm not saying I didn't like the episode, because I was definitely interested in everything I saw.
Like style.
Exactly. It just felt like, okay, we've got to get this info dump out of the way, because if we don't do this right now, nothing that's going to happen in the future makes sense. And maybe there was a way to either have piecemealed some of this. So easy one would be Chloe and Ruthven. Mm-hmm. If there had been some hints that this character existed. Yeah. For example, Ruthven could have been looking at a picture of Chloe when Ronny Toss and company enter his office for that little showdown, right? Or you know, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just saying that like we started this new core, and it's like, okay, brand new place. We're not in Paris anymore. Brand new people. Everyone's got beef with each other, and it's like they jumped us in the first episode with like, all right, everything's happening, and I thought it was exciting, but my worry was that without this, a lot of the stuff we saw before actually lost some impact it could have had. And I understand it's about surprise and whatever, but it's just a choice. So I enjoyed this episode. What did you think about the implication of all that we learned about Chloe, in the sense that like she somehow was turned in a way that seems different than the other vampires, and then her her family's obsession with the world formula and all that other stuff?
I love that story element, and it makes absolute sense that everyone is out to get her because of like the world formula experimentation. And so like the whole episode, as it was going on, I literally was just like, oh my God, and this could lead to this, and this could lead to this, and fuck you, Ruthven, and fuck you too, bitch. Like, I was just like all over the place theory crafting, because I feel like this sets up so much, especially if it actually activates. And like, what if like a whole new other factor or like race comes into the fucking like existence? Then it's going to be like, well, shit, is there going to be a race to basically be like, we got to get them on the human side, or we got to get them on the... Well, see, that doesn't matter, because it hasn't happened yet. That's just me theory crafting. But like, I really enjoyed how they gave us a little bit of Ruthven's background through Chloe's story, because that was one of the things that I've been wanting. It's like, Ruthven, he's been in the shadows, like doing all this shit, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I kind of need more explanation on like, nigga, why are you this way? And even though we didn't get details, from what we saw from him, like the way he talked about, oh, I see humans and vampires, that's the same thing. Like, you know, I'm cool with both of them. And then coming back and threatening her, trying to curse her, failing to curse her, and then running away like a bitch. And then later, at a later date, sending the one person that actually has a connection towards her to kill her. It's like, okay, like this, it made his character make a lot more sense for me, as opposed to like just solely building on Chloe. So like, I like that. The shit with the world formula, I'm literally just like, just do it. Just give it to me. Like, are we going to go into details as far as like the power system and magic? And, you know, like, is she going to actually change the world formula, or is she just going to end up like discovering something else? Like, I don't know.
We haven't had a lot of conversation in the show about the world formula, other than in episode 1, basically, where they set up why, it was episode 1 or 2, where they set up why there are vampires, because that's sort of the... the fact about, or the thing about like her being the one vampire that's different, I honestly have no idea. Like, I haven't seen anything foreshadowed. I haven't noticed anything. She didn't get cursed immediately, so she's been the 11 for like centuries. Yeah.
So it's kind of just like, I don't know. They didn't hint at anything, but maybe the hint was the fact that Ruthven couldn't curse her. So
could be
she has some kind of innate thing. And then it also goes back to like humans and, you know, like, was there something about her when she was a human that like her formula as a vampire is different?
Yeah, that's all it's very interesting. I don't know if this will be addressed or not, but we know, at least from what's happened in the series, that vampires seem to be born of vampires. So that's a difference. You know, also vampires can bite humans. They don't turn them, or at least if there is a process for doing it, it's not, you know, oh, you're bitten, now you're a vampire. Like, there seems to be more to it than that. We also see in Chloe's case that humans can be turned into vampires, but we don't know how, you know, and that's what her family kind of spent their time on.
I thought that was with the once the world formula got changed, a whole bunch of humans changed into vampires.
Well, yeah, and it may, I don't know the timing exactly. It may be that when they said that whatever date it was, that was the date that the original formula was fucked with, and she's just part of that first generation crop of vampires.
And then I buy that breeded and like other vampires.
Right, I definitely buy that. But even so, the fact that she seems to display other characteristics that are different, as you pointed out, Ruthven's ability doesn't seem to work on her, or at least she's able to reject it or block it somehow. Does that also mean that she is related to the queen? Because I believe the queen
I thought that too. Yes.
Yeah, and the queen is also a small girl. It looks like a small girl, is like half dead, and I think they implied in the first season that there's a connection between the queen and Narnia, or the curse itself.
The curse itself.
Whether that's her shadow or whether it's some other entity, I don't have any clarity. That was the thing
that I was thinking though. It was like, I thought that she might be related to the queen, but then I like didn't think so anymore, because the queen was affected by the curse, and like how about not affected, but like succumbed to the curse, while Chloe actively controls the curse. So I'm like,
or does she? That's actually a very good question that I don't think we have an answer to. We know that there are vampire curse users who are voluntarily on the side of Narnia and the charlatan, and the charlatan and all that other stuff. We know that is true. Was the implication prior to this that they were being controlled and that's why they were doing it, or was it that they were just folks who had done like Chloe did and gave their true name in exchange for a wish? Yeah. Which, if that's the case, doesn't that feel a lot more like D. Greyman? Because that's kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's,
that is like, that is like D. Greyman.
There's a lot of, and I like D. Greyman, and I think there's actually a lot of similarities in terms of some of the aspects of the story and plot and some of the characters, which is not a bad thing at all. I'm a big proponent.
I'm actually fucking behind.
D. Greyman for me was one of those weird ones where it was the first time that I really got into a manga that had a long running anime, but then it didn't finish, and it didn't finish at a point where, like, when, I don't want to spoil it, but when Clown Crown comes out,
man, and I was like, go ahead and spoil their asses. That was where the hypest manga moments for me coming up, for something that I knew nobody else was probably reading or looking at. D-Greyman was the anime that I watched right after I caught up to One Piece anime.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
I caught up to One Piece anime, I think around the same time like Soul Eater was was coming out or whatever. And so I think that was when I like started watching shit weekly, when I started finding the sites and shit. And then D. Greyman was like almost done. And the way they ended that shit, I was just like, why? Why would you end this here? What the fuck? Why would you do that?
That bothered me. So it was D. Greyman. I was reading that at the same time I was reading Siren, and those are two like shonen anime, or not anime, manga, that Siren never got made, which is to me one of the biggest losses of like that.
I've heard about that so much too.
That like mid to late 2008 to like 2015 period, like that was a miss. That Siren could have been like a perennial classic anime, but it could have been a big. And then I was also reading Air Gear at the time, and I think Air Gear had actually been out for a bit. Like, I think it had been done by the time I got to it. Oh, but man, like all that just reminded me of a time, and maybe why I like Vanitas, because it kind of has that quality of a lot of very beautiful characters and a lot of. We didn't talk about it in this episode, but man, was there a lot of sexual tension all over this with like Noe and the butler, and it's like when they did the handshake and this guy's like blushing and
that actually went completely over my head.
I was like, man,
that went over my head.
But that's the style of the show.
Yeah,
so it's not like anything special.
Reading all the BL, I didn't even like.
It was a minor. It was cute.
It was cute, but also speaking of the butler, he definitely has some kind of significance.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
I don't even know if he's a vampire because we haven't seen his eyes. So
yeah,
like
you know what?
Why is he there?
I would have. This is what I would have preferred a little bit more. Instead of getting like the big old info dump this episode, it would have been nice to have the butler be the unreliable narrator for a lot of the stuff that we just got a flashback for. Right? You know, because he clearly wasn't around when Ruthven showed up. He's more of a recent addition, it feels like.
Yeah.
And so when he was basically showing Noe that hall of like Diap shares, and like he starts off the info dump. Yeah. That's him. And then it cuts to Chloe talking to Nanya, and then they go into her memories. I actually would have preferred that they handled the way they had done up to that point and have like the butler give this story about like, you know, what her relationship was. Exactly. And then when Jean finally runs into her, then we can get their specific interactions with each other. And then when they get to whatever point they're going to deal with the beast and everything else, we get, you know, especially because Jean is an agent of Ruthven, August. So like that I think would have been a time to like piecemeal that out. And then we could have spent more time with like Vanitas and the group that sort of headed to the castle. And I like the little aside where they kind of delve, because Jean is either following them or they're following her up to the castle, but they're all explaining that they're coming at this from like different angles. One, the Dampier guy, he's like, oh, I'm here for the machine count. Yes. Right? He wants to capture her. Vanitas wants to free her. Jean wants to kill her, theoretically. We spend a little bit more time there and maybe spread out. And then you have
Noe, who's never going to know what the fuck he ever wants to do.
Yes,
and impede everybody.
Yo, can we just put aside? That's the one thing about this series. They be loving how like lavish and beautiful everybody is, but there's times when it feels like everybody forgets what the stakes are at the moment, and they just like start like doing cute things instead of like, yo, bro, Nadia's upstairs. This is the bad guy. Could you imagine like your Dragon Ball Z and it's like, oh, Frieza's right there, but then like they all decide to, all the other Z fighters decide to have like talk about tea and cakes and like how great Namek
be honest, he can't really do anything in the first place.
He can't do shit. No, that is true.
Because Chloe already clocked his ass. So.
Right, but I would just like to see him like a little more inner self-awareness where it's like, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm now trapped here. I have to learn about the situation, what are the weaknesses, and be biding my time to figure out how to defeat them, beat them, escape, give this information to Vine, whatever it is. I know that that's what the character is supposed to be doing, so I'm not saying that like it's not happening, but it's also a little jarring when he gets his ass whooped like to the point of unconsciousness. He wakes up and he's doing like cute faces with the butler over some fucking soup, and I'm like, nigga, this might be the most dangerous situation you've ever been in, and you're fangirling out over like, you know, potatoes au gratin or something. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah. I maybe no, I don't think he's smart enough to know that Nania wants him alive. He's not smart enough to know that. He was just
probably not. Or maybe, I don't know. I'm sure that this is what is being, like, this show does this. They did it when they were infiltrating the Inquisitor's place. They did the same kind of thing where it's like, there's a very serious life. Remember they go into that room and there's all those skulls with vampires with the holes in them? And they're like having a comedy scene, like where they're just in the room with the skulls, and then they get surprised by the what do you call it?
The paladin.
The Paladins. Yeah. And then it turns into something tense. Like really, really tense. Sometimes they take it a little too far, is all I'm saying. Like, know the situation and be a little bit more serious for me, the audience. I'm fine if they still want to have those scenes, but like, show us that Noe is competent and not a ditz. Because I think he's supposed to be a smart person.
Yeah, anyway. I just think that like his emotions rule him like a little too easily when he's in moments of tension, which is realistic. People, you know, you can be smart and not know how to deal.
Agreed. Yes.
With, you know, not shit, but situations as they like if they're like dropped on you randomly. All right. Okay.
So that was that. That was Vanitas episode. What episode was this?
That was
4.
Yeah,
3. 3. Yes, 3. Yeah. All right, Bakugou Bisco. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted from this series.
I have no idea how. I'm gonna say. I said it last week. I'm gonna say it again. You niggas are missing out. Like this is just like a good old fucking adventure show. Is it gonna be deep? I don't really know. Does it have the potential to go somewhere? Probably, maybe, but is it fun as fuck? And like, it's hitting so many like tropes, but like, once again, it's doing it in its own way. And it's also not just like relying overly on like one fucking thing over and over and over again.
Right.
Like, I'm enjoying, I like how the show showed how the arrows have the mushroom shit, and they didn't explain it. They literally just showed him making the concoction.
Yep, he's
dipping
prepping
the shit in there. That's all I need. That's it. It's like, oh, okay, that's that. This is this. She's over here. Oh, basically, homeboy has everyone in the city as a slave. They just don't know it.
That was crazy.
Yo,
that shit with the grub.
When it came out of her mouth,
I was like, what are we doing?
But that's the thing, though. I like that. Like, I like wild, crazy shit. Is it like gory for no fucking reason, or is it just like outlandish for no reason? No, it actually makes sense because I think there's a sense of comedy with the show, but it's not like Ronny Toss's comedy where it goes back and forth. I think it's more so of like a comedy of like, we gotta like laugh or like joke around about some of this shit because life is rough. Like, right. It's really fucking rough. Like, we don't know how you contract rust. Like, you gotta be in this city. The city's under like mafia-esque rules, shit like that. This nigga's over here shooting mushrooms and shit and giving me like, it's a rough society. So I think the comedy or the way that they like interweave the comedy, it works and it's believable. Right. Not that it works. It's very believable, at least for me. You know, like how people say some of the best comedians are the best comedians because they joke about, they come from like traumatic situations, so they know how to like, you know, make jokes out of things that you typically wouldn't joke about, or how to frame things in different ways. Right. I think that's kind of similar in this situation, but it's not a comedy show. So
yeah, so the title of this episode was Ride the Crab, and so much like many the other previous episodes in this series, it's the storyline centers around a very simple sort of three-way character interaction. You have Bisco, who is starting to basically teach Milo bits and pieces about what it means to be what do you call it, a mushroom? What do they call them?
A keeper? No.
Yeah, mushroom keeper. Right.
Oh,
yeah, mushroom keeper. He's dropping little bits of knowledge about like how to live in the outside world. We get that little vignette in the beginning where two things happen. First, Milo kind of exhausts himself and winds up passing out, and even though Bisco was giving him shit on the road for being like, you know, whiny and annoying and everything else, you could tell that he cares about him, right? Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't leave him behind. He takes him to a sheltered place. He gives him food. He basically lets him know like, hey, we can't, number one, there's a reason it seems like we're going out in the wrong direction. You got to learn to trust my instincts. I know what's going on here. But then number two, he starts to prep Milo for being independent of him. So that's the whole thing with him and Octagon, which is the sort of the core story in the episode is Milo has to learn how to ride the crab. Operate the crab. And Octagon is a character that the moment it got a name, because remember when all the promo materials out, it was just another random thing. They are riding a crab. Yeah. But from like episode 1 or two really forward, Octagon is a character. Octagon is really funny. Octagon as just like there's a lot of comedy bits that revolve around Octagon's behavior, its thought process, and yet it doesn't speak. It's not a talking animal. Yeah. And so in this episode, everything revolved around Milo's relationship with Octagon more than any of the other characters, right? Because Bisco notes that he's looking at him and he's like, oh, you have a talent for this. But every time Milo, who doesn't give up, that's his whole shtick, is that he's very persistent. Even when things don't go the way he wants, he keeps trying. And of course it leads to like hijinks and jokes. Octagon throwing him off, after, because remember they actually did that thing where you run a joke the first time it's lame, you do the second time it's still lame, but the third time it is hilarious. So like when the joke about him like, oh, we finally understand each other, Octagon, he gets on, you think, okay, they're gonna ride for it. Nope, Crab immediately throws him off. Then he's like, oh, I'm gonna change my clothes, I'm gonna look like a mushroom keeper, I got this. Bisco compliments him. That must be the reason. He gets on the boat, Octagon throws his ass off again. And then when you fast forward a little bit, they're resting, and he's trying to like drive the crab, and it's just not fucking working. And so then you see Tyrell, who shows up in this episode, pink-haired girl, who I like her the version of this type of character. It's sort of like the money grubbing, self-important, kind of pompous, but also struggling swindler,
like actually needs help.
Who actually needs help. So you get the thing where she sees the crab and you assume that like she's trying to either help him or steal it, and instead it's another Octagon going crazy, bullshit, hijinks mode. And then she doesn't join up with the team. Milo's relationship with Octagon, combined with Bisco's knowledge about the world that allows him to take down the giant mantis shrimp temple super tank thing. They have the great thing of Octagon basically cracking it in the skull, and then Bisco shooting mushrooms into his brain. Yeah, I mean it was also sickening to think about, but it was like, okay, fine. And then to have it all end in a comedy bit where they overcome the danger, but then it fucks them up anyway, so they're just screwed again. That structure of storytelling, and the fact that it basically focuses on a very, very tiny cast, and the stakes for that cast are not world scaling. They're all very small. Milo's stake is that he wants to be accepted by the crab. That's it. That's all he ever really does. Bisco is now playing the role of Jobby, which we saw in episode 2 in the flashback, that like, oh yeah, there's a reason for him to act this way towards Milo. So we get like that 3-part structure of Jobby to Bisco as a mentor-student relationship, but now Milo to Bisco is also the mentor-student relationship. But whereas like Jobby's kind of like go with the flow, but really, knows the world. Bisco still is a little bit irresponsible, a little bit unseasoned, and so he's going to, I won't say fuck up, because his plan was a sound plan, and it kind of just went off the rails because of Tyrell waking up the mantis shrimp. But like that interaction, those 4 characters have a lot of chemistry on screen, and also kinetically in the way they move around, pulling the grub out of Tyrell's mouth, and then her trying to seduce Milo, but he's too like oblivious and innocent to like understand what the fuck is going on, to her like terrible comedy routine where she's like, oh, it's a jellyfish shop because of my fucking hair, and they're just not having it. They're like, whatever. Like to Bisco never having tasted the food that his name comes from, and having all these wild expectations, like, I thought it was gonna taste like bear liver, I thought it was gonna be this or that. Like, this is all comedy, but it fits the structure, the archetypical structure and the story structure of the show in a very natural, unforced. It's all unforced.
Yeah,
I agree. So I loved this episode.
Same.
I just love this episode.
Also, child soldiers are coming.
Oh yes, the preview for next episode seems kind of wild.
Yeah, like bring it on. Like if we can move from like narrative to narrative like this fast, if each episode can be like its own like contained thing almost, I'm for it. Like
listen, do you ever know, like I said this in the beginning, these individual episodes feel like Trigun episodes.
Yeah.
It's the exact same structure. Team rolls into town. They've got a very short-term temporary goal. Some hijinks occur, some silly stuff. A fight happens. It's over the top. They think that they're going to get what they want, but instead everything blows up, or like it all goes wrong, and then they flee to the next location to do it all over again. And inside of that, there's like little heartwarming stuff. There's little like character interactions where like, oh, Vash is really getting on with the bounty hunter girls, and like you can see them getting close to each other, or you get a moment where he remembers his like tragic backstory with knives, and it's like whatever. It's kind of the same way here, but it's a little more comedic and over the top with like all the animal hybrid stuff, and Bisco on the roof of the temple, like, you know, trying to get Tyrol, and then it gets blown up, and it's like, you know. So next episode, I wonder if it's going to be a little more introspective, because you've got all these kids. It didn't
look like it, because it looked like niggas' bodies was on the ground.
I know. Like, I'm hoping that like that's a flashback, but hey, you never know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. This is like, it's very easy for me to watch this and feel nostalgic without like it beating me over the head, and I'm genuinely interested to know more about the world and what happens and everything else. So yeah, I think it's really cool.
Same. Did you watch anything else this week?
I watched Genius Prince 4. I deeply enjoy this series. It's almost like, so the first couple episodes were very combat oriented, and so I thought maybe that's where it was going. It was all these like all this warfare happening. Episode 4 is the exact, 3 and 4 have been the exact opposite. It's like mind games and politics, and again, characters that have really good chemistry with each other. VAs too, they have good chemistry bouncing off of each other. So in episode 4, his friend from school, who turns out to be the princess of the empire, has showed up, and he knows for a fact that she's there to scheme, right? Because you learned in all the flashbacks that like she has deep ambitions to break society, because she's a woman and she's also the youngest princess, and so only men have control in society, and the princes are about to spark a civil war between them to control the empire, and she is a long-standing wish to basically upset all of that, change people's opinions about women, and possibly take control. Meanwhile, Wayne wants absolutely nothing to do with this.
Which means he's gonna have all the fucking.
There you go. Right. Yeah. He's like, listen, if I know what she's if she showed up here talking about maybe interviewed for like a marriage proposal, she's trying to draw me in to the scheme that I know that she's been planning for a while, and she's gonna have 8 layers deep of stuff to try to, you know, counter my counter to counter the counter, and they have all these great little back and forth scenes.
So she's in a way like an antagonist for him.
She is. They say it when she shows up, or when he remembers her character. He's like, she is just like me, right? Only her, and she has 2 driving. It. Well, that's the thing. I think that this character is so fun because I don't second guess the motivations that he has said publicly and privately. Whereas like in another series, you'd be absolutely right. The character would be like, I'm such a carefree layabout, I don't want to do anything, I don't want to have control, but deep in their minds, you're like, the audience like, yeah nigga, you know you do, you know you want to like become emperor.
I was talking about the princess.
Oh yeah, for her it is very straightforward. She has said, I am going to take down this empire, I'm going to undercut and undermine my brothers, and I'm gonna win, right? That we know that is her motivation. But they do these great split screens where she'll be talking to her second about like, okay, so like I've trapped him here, and now he's gonna do this, and I'm gonna counter it with this, and then you go cut over her. It's like, but I know she's gonna get me to do that thing, so I'm gonna counter it with this other thing, and they go back and forth, and you're ready for this like duel. They set up where he has called over a prince from a next door nation that she was targeting to try to get Natra involved and fight them on her behalf, but he one-ups her by inviting the prince by lying to him and saying that no, actually she really wanted to marry him and go with him to that other place. So now the stage is set. This guy shows up. He's a blubbering fucking buffoon. He is like everything, all the stereotypes. He's got the big fat lips. He's overweight. He's like obsessed with Loa. He wants to take her away and marry her immediately, and he's so thankful to Wayne for hooking them up. And meanwhile, Loa's like, I'm not gonna let this nigga get the best of me. So they have this banquet scene. I have to tell you, I would watch this scene. If you don't watch the whole episode, in episode 4, watch the banquet scene, because it's a lot of fun. Okay, you have the two characters who are both trying. So Wayne is trying to get her hooked up with this prince and out of his life. She is trying to get him to make a mistake in order to make it look like he is actually playing that prince, and right, so that then Natra goes to war with the other thing. And of course, they both almost achieve what they want. And right as the thing's about to end, this drunk motherfucker is like, I need to show off to this girl, which is outside of both of their plans. He's like, we should have a duel. He's like, fuck, I can't. Wayne is like, I can't turn this down because it would look really, really bad. But I also have to lose to this guy so that he doesn't like get, upset or feel like I tricked him. But I also have to lose in a way that doesn't make me lose face. So he comes up with this plan to like, duel him a little bit and then disarm him, but then drop his sword at the same time and it'll all be fine. Meanwhile, Loa's like, well, if Wayne fucks this guy up, like, oh, it's good for me. And they get to the scene where everything goes right, but the guy keeps running with the sword and literally runs right out the window over the balcony and dies.
Oh my god!
And like when it's set up, you get the feeling as a watch, like that's the way this is gonna happen. Like both of them, they've spent 2 episodes setting up this elaborate cat and mouse game to like one up and undo each other, and then it's all gonna be ruined by this fat fuck who desperately wants to show off and is too drunk to know better. He literally he loses the duel, so he embarrasses himself by accident because he like trips and some other stupid shit happens, and then he picks his sword up and he's like, I'm gonna get my one back and attack Wayne from behind when he's like has no weapon, and he just like literally just ducks, and the guy sails over him through the window or through the double doors onto the balcony and just runs off and dies. And there's even a comedic scene where Ninim goes down and she's like, listen, I got bad news for everybody. This man is dead. And then it cuts back to his dad. So now he's thinking like, wait, they invited my son only to kill him. So it's a whole bunch of shit.
Oh, okay.
It's all very political, but funny. It's like funny, endearing. There's a little bit of fan service in the episode. Not too much. So it's just a lot of fun.
Okay. I watched Rymans Club, the one about salarymen and badminton.
Yes.
And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't amazing. And also, I'm not like a super duper sports person. I'm wearing like a Yo Mushi Pedal shirt, but like I got this shit in a loot box or something. So I was like, whatever, I'm gonna wear this shit right now. Nigga ain't done laundry, but the show.
I got my Frieza shirt on. And the DBZ hat, because I got a rep. I got a rep.
Them niggas. Wait, weren't they going off about you? Anyways, so the show literally is about a badminton prodigy who was a prodigy with his partner. Somehow he hurt his partner and does singles.
At badminton?
And badminton.
How did he hurt him?
Absolute ass at singles. But the thing is, he gets companies hire them based off of like their badminton shit. And I'm like, wait,
interesting.
Where does this come from? Like this is the made up world. Because all right. Yeah, like so the guy literally like does so badly on the badminton team that they fire him from the job. Yeah, and so then the first episode, he's going back home, and his mom is like, well, you can't live with me anymore because I bought...
What do you mean he lost it all from a badminton singles? Get out of here.
Yeah, and oh my god, it was so fucking... I mean, it was entertaining because like...
Was it intense?
They did the like leaving ceremony where they were like, it was so great like working with you, and the guy hands him the flowers, and he's like, you're a fucking loser. And I was like, oh my god.
Tell him, let him know.
Oh my god. So then he's like on the train calling his mom, and mom was like, oh. She was like, I redid your room for the iguana that I bought. She was like, you can't stay with me anymore. Yes. Like she
bruh, if I get told I got replaced by an iguana, somebody's getting dragged through the streets.
So on the train, he gets a call from some people who offer him another job which through like badminton shit, so that like he's on the badminton team. But the difference is like with this job, he has to actually like do the job and then do the badminton shit like in the evening, as opposed to with the other one, they were just like, oh yeah, you have like a salary or whatever, but you here for badminton, nigga. So like play badminton, and you're bad, so we fired you. So
I have to get over this whole idea, just the idea of like badminton as like the line between you keeping and not keeping a job. But I'm with you. The
nigga got fired in the first like 3 minutes.
I know. I'm with it. I was with it.
Why is he fired? Did he do bad at work? Wait, it's because of the badminton? Okay. Anyways, I kept going because even though like all this sounds like, wonky, I was like, I want to see where this goes. I want to see what happens when they start. So of course he meets a drunkard in the park. The drunkard ends up being his fucking future partner, or like supposed future partner. But I like this show the most because like it's actual like middle age, like the age range of people is like from like I think like 18 to 32. So
okay.
And the 32-year-old is hot. Like he's fucking hot. Like they're like definitely trying to do like free shit with him. They keep showing his abs, and I'm like, y'all don't even have that much of a budget, so the abs don't even look that great. So why y'all keep showing this shit? But
it's important to let the audience know what you're here for.
But now that's true. Now there definitely ships. I'm pretty sure the ships are going to be sailing. They've already sold. I'm probably going to see something about them eventually. But the best part of this episode, which is good for the show itself, is them playing the badminton was entertaining as fuck.
That's important. Yeah, that's very important.
They put the budget into the badminton playing. Like the badmintons had like sonic boom, like whoosh. Like I was like, nigga, what? What are y'all doing?
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Okay,
it was someday.
I have I've watched a lot of people play badminton, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was in grad school, I loved to go to the gym, but when I had to wait for like the basketball courts to open, they usually had the court split in half. And so it was a choice between watching a bunch of bums that I knew, old like professors, like shoot around for like 30 minutes, or on the other side, they had it cut off for badminton. So I would just like run the track, and I'd be like running, and half of it would be basketball. I'd be looking down, the other half would be like guys sweating at badminton. But I'll tell you right now, I have never seen an exciting game of badminton in my life. I've not seen one.
Well, they made this shit exciting.
It's great. No, that's fantastic. I'm not mad at that at all.
They made it make sense. They didn't do any of the rule explaining or anything. They were like, these niggas are going at it.
I guess you don't need. I mean, what is there really?
Yeah, what is it? Like, nigga, don't let it hit the ground. But
okay.
So basically, what the main character's power is that what he does is during the initial match, or like whatever, it's not like the full match, but like during the first round, all he does is observe his opponent, like nonstop. He doesn't try to score any points or anything. And then once the second round starts, he basically like is like really good at just observing people and learning their patterns. And then after that, he just starts like annihilating people.
Oh, so, he's the copy ninja badminton player.
Well, yeah. So basically, he'll be like, "Oh, they're gonna do this," and he immediately just like over here, like it's gonna go here. So of course, the guy that's supposed to be his partner that he's like sparring against was like, "Oh shit, like damn. Well, guess what? I'm just gonna change." Like, what the fuck? Like, whatever. And then also it gets to the point where his partner is the 32-year-old guy. And it gets to the point where, like, the guy's, like, swings and shit are just, like, he's way more fit than the main character. So, like, he starts, like, overwhelming him with power. So, like, both of them literally...
But it's badminton! Sorry. No. I gotta stop. I know better.
It's anime.
I know better.
Well,
no, you're 100% right. I shouldn't even...
Well, the way that them niggas literally like they do the eye close up, and then it
Yep.
It's just like what's happening? Which, you know what, this gives me like a lot of excitement for Blue Lock, because I know people love that shit. I don't know what it is. I've never read a chapter, but I just know that it's gonna be some wild shit because everyone's excited for it. So like if I can get excited with badminton, then I think I'm ready for Blue Lock. Like,
okay, all right. So
it was interesting. I will come back just to see more badminton matches because I want to see the other teams, like, you know, styles, because this seems like it's going to be an ability show where like every team they go up against is going, like, there's another duo on their team, so I think it's like 2 or 3 duos on the one team, and then, you know, like spar, whatever, blah blah. So I'm very much so interested in what kind of abilities are y'all gonna come up with for these people. And it's not like supernatural abilities. It's literally just like, you know, oh, this nigga's really good at like faking shots, or like this nigga's really good at this. But like, if you don't know his ability, then when you first go up against him, you get your ass fucked up. So, you know, that I'm interested in that. But that is the only new thing that I watched this week. It was interesting. I would say if you want to watch it, just skip to the last like 7 to 5 minutes, and that's when the badminton match starts. And you just watch
I like sports anime. Like I'll watch almost anything. There was a rugby one that was out, I would say like a few years ago, which I'm blanking on the name, but I enjoyed that one even though I don't watch rugby. Yeah. I will watch this one. It was actually on my radar as far as like another sports show. I was hoping that was it Tribe 9 or whatever would be my sports thing. I was hoping. It didn't really pan out, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. No harm, no foul. Yeah. No pun intended. But I will definitely take a look at this one, because one of the things I like about the genre of sports anime is that there's basically 3 roads to travel. It could be wacky, okay? So you pick you deliberately picking a sport that's like either ridiculous that you would have a sports anime about it in the first place, and like that's the gimmick of the show. It can be played as pretty straight down the middle, where it's like, okay, we're
very serious about it, and we're also
this is a realistic world. So I would put something even like a slam dunk, or more recently like what the heck? What's the one everyone loves? Kuroko no Basket, right? Like those things, you know, they're still anime and they're tropes, but at the end of the day, they're presenting a real sport played by real people, and maybe they're doing like superhuman things, but it's more in the like there's no special rules to allow someone to like jump and do dunks from half court. It's just something crazy in the context of that show. And then there's sort of like all the way down to like you said, Yomawushi pedal, but ones that are more like free, right? Like free. Nothing is necessarily unrealistic about what they're doing, but the purpose of the show is not to teach you about sports. It's so that you can look at beautiful men, and then maybe in another show, beautiful women, or it's to revel in the animation, like ping pong, right? Like that, it has another purpose, and the sports is kind of like secondary to that. This sounds like it's like more one of the ones that's down the middle, and I like those because that's where like you can get a little wacky if you want to get wacky, you can get a little technical if you want to get technical, but it's more or less grounded in some version of reality, except the reality where you lose your job if you're bad at badminton. But
I'm just happy that it's not high school. So like,
true. You know what? Yeah, I didn't catch that part, but you're 100% right.
I'm happy that it's not high school, because the first thing that happens when he gets to the company is that one of his old high school classmates is like, "Damn, you literally like dipped after high school and just like didn't tell nobody nothing. Like, what the fuck?" And then you like show back up. So like, I'm expecting in addition to like the badminton matches, like adult things to like go on. And I'm not saying like, oh, they gonna be fucking, but like just like, you know, like, damn, y'all gotta like live in a dorm, or like,
you mean something a little more relevant to an adult.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it doesn't have to be like an older person, but I think that's doesn't. A lot of the stuff that gets popular, as we know, is, I don't want to say they're not necessarily aimed at children, because those aren't the people who are buying it, but like it has like a grounding in a very like post-adolescent teenagerdom, which is an area where everybody feels like, and storytelling too, there's all this possibility, anything could happen, but things that are not actually all that important in the scheme of real life can be made incredibly important, because we can all kind of relate to that. But I like to see more stories that are about what's the stage afterwards, because that to me is such a gray area for everybody, and also for storytelling. In the West, we have a lot more of that. Not necessarily in animation, but on drama tends to focus on that, like that gray zone of young adulthood, whereas like in anime, for a lot of reasons which we don't need to poke at, it's really high school and the end of like the last 2 years of their high school experience in particular,
like their last 2 years of freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. I'm into it. I'll take a look. Did you watch anything else this week?
Nope, nothing else or nothing new. My next project is I got to get caught up on Attack on Titan. I got to get caught up because I know a spoiler is right around the corner for me. I don't know how I've avoided it so far, especially with like anime Twitter, but I've avoided it.
Let me ask you a quick, like, how do you feel about the reaction to Attack on Titan as someone who is trying to avoid spoilers? Like, does it feel to you like the same energy is really there for this sort of penultimate season?
No.
I don't have that feeling.
I kind of think that it's kind of riding. I think it's a hype wave from like Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan just like airing at the same time. I don't really think that it's like, oh my god, this show is the best. Like, this show is fucking phenomenal and amazing and da-da-da-da-da. I don't think it's that, like, or at least anymore, because if it were amazing, then people will be talking about it like nonstop, like almost every day of the week. And that doesn't really happen. Literally, like, Sundays are like Attack on Titan Day, and then you don't hear a peep about it for the rest of the fucking week. So then that makes me think, like, well, did you really like the episode, or were you just like hyped the fuck up and you're just, you know, you're emoting and responding along with the people around you, as opposed to actually being like, damn, that was fucking good. Like, I want to like get into that shit. Like, let's talk about this shit. So I definitely think it's more so hype than just like, oh my god. I'm not saying it's bad. Like, it's okay to like, you know, ride the fucking hype wave. I rode the hype wave on Arceus. It's like, so, you know, it be what it be. But also, I have not watched any of these new part 2 episodes. I think I'm like 4 episodes behind on the first part. So I still got to finish the first part, and then I got to catch up to this part, which that should be easy to do in the next like few days or whatever. But
sure,
I just haven't been spoiled because I think I have it. No, I don't think I have any of it muted. I do have Jujutsu Kaisen muted on all my Twitters though, because I'm tired. I was like, bitch, ain't nobody spoiling this no more.
We're in like this solid ass phase of the story. Right? It's so solid. It's just like you can. I don't know. This is. It'll sound real suspect, but like you can just feel the weight and the, you know, the thickness.
Well, we have an announcement coming up. Was it February 13th or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, as far as news, y'all, I really ain't got nothing.
I mean, I was gonna. There's like super minor stuff. Like, you know, I'm into wrestling, and the Royal Rumble was over the weekend. And there were a couple of anime cosplays, including Sasha Banks came out in full Sailor Moon, like with the head buns, and dropped it for the crowd too. So she was killing it. Mad respect for that. This is not. I don't know if this even qualifies as news, but like, if you're not watching Demon Slayer, you're missing up on a whole lot of Black Air Force activity happening, episode after episode after episode after episode. That's all I gotta say. I mean, like,
it's insane. It's just
everybody is just in full disrespect mode. You got Nezuko out here kicking niggas' heads off. Tengen is just being a boss as he should be. You know, Tanjiro's great. The thing about Demon Slayer, and it's not no shade on their main character. They gonna let you know that nigga
useless.
Like he is a version of the sort of like struggler, which I like. You know, he's always at the push to the limit, and he regularly loses, which is important. I think it's important for a main character to lose, because that means that the next time they got a big fight, there is some real tension. You're not expecting it's just gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna just watch this motherfucker. It's gonna be easy. But like, when Tanjiro be losing, the niggas who step up, you know, to fix his shit, be going ham for no good motherfucking reason. There's a clip floating around of the Nezuko Dabi fight, and like when she fucking gets her arm and legs chopped off, but the blood holds it together. And she comes through and kicks that bitch's head off. And then fucking Tengen one-shots her. He's like, who are you talking? Like, why are you even here?
Your head's already off.
Yeah, wait, go away. Like, and she's like, wait, I really am cool. I'm powerful. I was like, nah, bitch, we done with you. That is my man. That is my goddamn man right there.
I honestly really enjoy Daki's voice actress. She's doing a phenomenal job because I just be the way that she whines, I just be laughing.
She be fucking whining.
She be whining so much. Like, she was talking so much shit a few episodes ago, and now she's just like,
blah, blah, blah.
Oh, they're hurting me.
Everybody has a lot to say till they get kicked in their motherfucking chest and get their head chopped off.
Until they get their head sawed off. Oh,
True.
My God.
Yes. Bro.
That was so
real
fucking
serious.
cool. Yeah. But, yeah.
I just want this Jujutsu Kaisen movie, man. Get that movie over here. Every little bit I see of this movie.
I haven't seen any of it yet. I haven't seen any of it yet.
Damn it. I want to do that Denzel meme where he like slaps the table. Like, that shit is good, man. It is real fucking good.
My thing is that please don't do what everybody else been doing. Don't make the movie like the first part of the next core. Don't do that, y'all. I'm tired of that shit.
I don't think they would do that. But I was about to reference Kakashi Gaiden, but they did that with Kakashi Gaiden. That was part of the season. But that's kind of where it is. Like, so Zero is the one shot that
that came out before it dropped. Yeah.
So it's referenced, in the manga, but there's another story that's sort of like the Kakashi Gaiden but with Gojo.
Oh,
that
okay.
Is supposed to be the bridge between
the one shot in the show.
Yeah, well, no, it's the bridge between where the season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen complete, the 24 or whatever, how many episodes it was.
Yeah.
That's the bridge between that and then the next arc, which is, I'm not going to spoil, but they talked about what it could be in the show.
Everybody's talking about Shibuya.
Yeah, Shibuya. Yeah. So
I see niggas say that also. Just wait for Shibuya. Shibuya gonna fuck you niggas
First
up.
of all, fuck all that. You don't gotta wait for Shibuya. Watch the goddamn show. Read the manga. It's just good. There's no fucking waiting. This isn't like One Piece where it's like, okay, well, when you get to episode 272, that's when it really starts. No, bro. Just when niggas getting stomped out for real in for that first season. So that's good enough. You don't need what's going to happen in Shibuya. Shibuya is its own gigantic ball of cool shit. Mm-hmm. But there is a prequel, which takes place before Jujutsu Kaisen 0 and deals with the Gojo and then some of the other characters that we've sort of been told about. And the main antagonist. Well, no. Yes, it does. Yeah. The main antagonist gives some backstory to who he was. That's a loose way of putting it. I'm curious, since that's probably going to be the beginning of season 2, if they are going to include a couple of very specific scenes that take place at the end. They're sort of like the I don't want to say like post-credit scenes, but they're like when this little backstory stuff is done, they introduce like 3 characters in a short piece at the end that sets up. They don't even come back in until where we're at right now. So I wonder if they're going to include that or not. Because when I was reading it, I was just reading, and I'm like, who are these people? And then you keep reading, and you're like, they ain't relevant at the moment. So that should be cool. But I want this fucking movie. Get this movie out, then get Chainsaw Man out of the way. Whatever y'all doing to finish, I don't know. And then tell us when Jujutsu Kaisen is coming back, because this is a fucking joke. Like, they've been delaying too long. It's been a year. It's too long. Come on. It's been a year. Chop.
I mean, I feel like the day after the movie dropped, we should have had a season 2 announcement. I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know why they were like, either way, it's coming back. I know it's making way too much money for them to basically like drag their asses. It's just like, no. Jujutsu Kaisen literally is like, if it's not already seen as that, it's already like a new big 3.
Please trust me. So when Black Clover ends, which is not, this ain't gonna go on that much longer as far as I can tell.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, I don't know what else they can stretch out of this, but let's imagine that maybe they got another year, right, of Black Clover. When Black Clover ends, you look at what's in Jump weekly. You have One Piece, which will still be running, but for however long that's gonna go.
That's gonna be, well, not soonish, but in the next few years probably.
You have My Hero Academia, which probably has a year left.
I heard that's wrapping up too. Yeah,
it's probably got about a year left from where we are right now. And then after that, it's basically just Jujutsu Kaisen and One Piece, and that third spot might be Yashimon. It might be I don't know. Maybe they'll move Kaiju 8 out of the digital Kaiju. Only.
Yeah,
but like I mean, they have to bet a lot on Jujutsu Kaisen. It's kind of my point. So the idea that like we don't know a lot about the release schedule. It's just leaving money on the table as far as I'm concerned. I mean, obviously, MAPPA owns that production. The last thing I would want to see is that move away from them, or do like Silverlink and like form another specific studio for it. No, I think they've got their producers, they've got their team. They just got to clear the fucking deck, because like Chainsaw Man got delayed, and it wasn't just because of COVID. Like there were production shit that they had to do, and I feel like that's the bottleneck. And as much as I like what I've seen from Chainsaw Man, that series is done. Right? Like it can look as good as it wants to. We need to make sure Jujutsu Kaisen is taken care of. So that's my spiel, but we shall see.
I don't think I'm gonna go to a theater for it. I don't really know.
I don't know. You know what? If there's a showing that's not in the city, I might go. But if it's like downtown with the crusty niggas, I'm good.
No. I just don't. I mean, I went to like that like 2-3 person thing for Demon Slayer because I was like, nigga, I have to see this. And like with this one, I'm just like, but you niggas are out. Like they out.
Yeah, they out.
So I'm kind of just like, I don't want to be around all you niggas just to watch.
Too bad. So, you about to have to take a whiff of whatever is going on out there. And also, we deal with Omicron. I heard there's another one.
What,
another variant out there. Yeah,
the stealth in California. Yeah, I'm literally just like, that's what I'm saying. I was like, just bring it straight to streaming and just charge us a streaming access thing. But I feel like they don't want to do that because they know someone gonna rip that shit immediately, and then it's everywhere then. So I don't know. I feel like I might get taken over by the hype and just be like, let me go watch this fucking movie. Let me go take a half day. And get to the theater before everybody else.
No, I feel you. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me on little notes and whatever. Anything else hanging out in your brain?
No, I mean, as far as recommendation wise, I mean, I was gonna recommend Gaku and Babysitters. I feel like, have I recommended that before?
I don't recall you bringing that up before.
Yeah. If you want like some funny, wholesome shit, you should watch Gaku and Babysitters. It's about 2 boys who get orphaned. They get taken in by this woman who owns a private boarding school, and it's a high school and middle school like combined or whatever. But the little brother is like 1 year old, and the older brother is he's like a first year, like freshman or whatever in high school. And their parents were traveling photographers that died in an accident. So she adopts them, and the payment for him going to that school and like being boarded is like he has to babysit his brother and the teacher's children during all of his breaks.
Okay.
So it's like, it gets kind of sad. It has its moments because, like serious shit happens, but it's hilarious because it's literally like toddlers doing toddler shit, and then you mix in teenagers.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and then you mix in like the moms coming in, and then they have episodes where the dads show up.
I like that.
And shit like that. So like, it's just some like wholesome shit. It's really cute. Like, I think it applies to like, parenting worldwide, not just like specifically like Japanese style parenting. And they have like different ranges of toddler. There's like an infant who's like trying to talk, but she can't talk yet, but like you can understand what she's moaning.
Oh, that's cool. So is it like is it format wise, is it like gag formatted, or is it more
there's about like 2 or 3 like individual stories each episode.
Okay, so it's like the little shorts. Yeah,
it's like little shorts, but like most of the time it's definitely not like, oh, we're just trying to get a fucking laugh out of you, ha ha ha. Like, no, it's literally just kids, like toddlers, just being fucking toddlers. And it's just like, yeah, this would be a extremely hard I wouldn't know what to tell that little nigga either. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, I think for me, the only recommendation I have is the latest season of Agretzko, which is on Netflix. Finally got around to watching some of it with my wife, and it was like, I'm not one out here saying that like these mega corporations, are always the most well-behaved citizens in the world, but like, goddamn, they just be printing money with this this Agretzko shit because it's good. It's like, I don't know in 2022 if I'm talking to an adult who has never had an interaction or an interest in anime and manga, where they would start, because a lot of the things that are very popular and easily accessible are also, like, in my opinion, like fantasy. Yeah, and they're aimed straight down a barrel at a very specific type of viewer. And there's other stuff.
If they didn't swoop you up during a specific time period, then it ain't. Yeah.
But I think one of the things that shows like Agretzko, Way of the House Husband, and there's others that are non-localized, because both of those have been officially, not just localized but promoted. That those types of programs, especially ones that deal with more adult, understandable issues, wind up being a better gateway into enjoying, the medium than I would say some of the most well budgeted and over the top sorts of productions. And it's interesting now that I'm seeing folks who have been anime fans from a childhood, but that childhood is now 20, 25 years removed, 30 years removed. And what are the kinds of things that they feel they'll still get hyped, but like Agretzko is a type of show that if you'd asked them 20 years ago, are you into this? There's the kind of person who would like associate themselves with that kind of show 20 years ago versus today is a very different kind of person. Yeah. Even though the content could be the same. So, I try to use my wife and other people who are not into it as like a gauge for, is this a good entry point? And watching this with her has made her want to watch
other things.
Affirmatively want to watch other things.
Oh, wow.
Which I think is the gold standard. Even if you think, Sanrio is just like, a merchandise monster and all they want to do is sell you a pin or whatever. But like among my peers, people who are professionals, people who like, they may have a little bit of knowledge about anime, but that's not their fandom. This works very well for them. And then they can go up and like, I had a mutual acquaintance who her 32nd birthday was coming up, and like getting her a Agretzko pen set became like a important thing for her. Like that was a really cool gift for her, but she's not like a mega anime fan. Like that's not what she is. So I throw that out there as like the third time I think I've recommended it. The first season, second season, now the third season, and it looks like they're dealing with again more interesting issues. Last season they had like stalking and I think parasocial relationships and
I'm in
depression.
The first season where she's become friends with the two women, Miss Gorilla or whatever.
And the bird,
the bird basically runs the fucking company because the president's a fucking idiot that just keeps buying shit. Like, and then they just had the party, and homeboy like called her out in front of everybody. Yep. And she did, the Agretzko thing, but everyone was fucking wasted, and so no one remembered what happened.
Right, yeah. And the first season was really good. Second season really gets into what I would call like mature themes, as in the storylines all revolve around issues that I think adults tend to have. One of my favorite ones, if I was going to show anybody anything, Agretzko has a friend, this cat, who she knew in high school and was always like I don't know what you call him, like the person she looked up to and idolized as the go-getter. Wait, are you talking about
the freelance girl? In America, and then she comes back. Yeah.
So she's in the second season, but this is when Agretzko is having her thing with the CEO of a tech company, and like their interactions showing you different adult perspectives on insecurity and depression, self-loathing, poor expectation setting, bad relationships with family. Like these are things that like most people can actually relate to more than just like Hype Beam 9000, blowing off some alien's head. Like I love that stuff. It's awesome, but a little bit more of this is what I like to see in a lot of these shows. In fact, almost all. So that would be my recommendations. Season 3 of Agretzko. I enjoyed it, and it's pretty good.
I'm like rationing House Husband. Like I don't want to finish this.
House Husband is very good.
It's so good. Like I'm literally like I can watch like one skit every once in a while. Like I'm not gonna finish the episode. Like I just it's so good. It's so good. With the shit where he like is in front of the children and he's about to he starts talking about like stabbing niggas up and they're like, nah, give me this shit. Like it's
my favorite from I haven't watched some of the newer ones, but when the father and his father-in-law and mother-in-law come by.
Oh yes, I saw that one. Yeah.
It's like I always wanted a son, and then they try to go like play catch, but like he's on 10 and this is an old man.
Yes.
That was good. I like that.
I like the skit with them where her parents visited and she and the dad were trying to cook, and then he and the mom, like he was literally like, you two are fucking horrible, like what the fuck. And then like all of a sudden the mom just swoops in and she's just like, these niggas are just useless. You just gotta do that. You gotta boom, boom, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, this is realistic shit. I was like, I can relate to some shit like this where it's just like, these niggas don't know what they're doing and we're gonna waste all this food. Like, please save them.
Yes, please get that shit together. Please. Where they tried to like have a birthday party for him, but then like like all that stuff. Like this is all. I'm old. That's all I'm gonna just say. I'm old. This works for
me. We are not old. We are
not old, but I'm older. So now I can appreciate this a lot more. The struggle is real, especially when you're trying to show off. But you ain't got the skills. You ain't got it. I'm also the baker and the cooker in the house. Like that's what I do. So I can relate a little bit. Like my wife is good at a lot of that stuff too, but you know, I'm home so I can do it. Yeah. So I vibe with that as well.
You've got an arsenal.
Correct. So yeah, that's
all right.
That's what we got for this week.
That is all for this week. Yeah. So if you haven't already, thank y'all for watching the YouTube like watch time. It's like gone from like 2 minutes to like 17. So some of y'all are like sticking the fuck around and actually like watching that shit. Thank you so much. Also, thank y'all for listening in general. Like, I mean, the viewers are going up, you know, like slower by slower on like, well, not the viewers, the listeners on the podcast aspect, but you know, like, if you guys have anybody that y'all think we should have on, like recommend them. We will be starting like a music series very, very soon with someone else who's already been on the show, but it'll be more so like, well, it won't be like music from like a music major standpoint, but we're going to be spitting music major fucking terms. So, you know, just go and like find some of your favorite like anime soundtracks and shit like that and like be ready because we will be diving into that shit very soon. And what else is there? Oh yeah, and the TikTok is up too. So if you want like a taste of an episode of like what the episode is gonna be like, you can go to the TikTok because like that's where like, you know, small portions and tidbits of like, you know, what the fuck we be talking about. You can get it on TikTok. So you can literally go to TikTok and be like, oh shit, do I need to listen to this episode ASAP? Or be like, oh okay, no, I can get to it later in the week. You know, it's whatever.
There was too much pleasant stuff this week. There's no ranting this time. But
yeah, I'm gonna find something to clip though. There's always something to clip.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, just thank y'all for support in general. Blah blah blah. Like, you know, okay, all right. Brain is done for the day. If you haven't already, make sure you. Oh shit. Okay. See, I'm about to go into a completely different spiel. If you haven't already, y'all, make sure y'all follow us on social media. Anime_savants on Twitter, and then regular Anime Savants on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Also, the podcast is on Facebook now. It's uploaded on the RSS feed. It's coming straight from there. So if you on Facebook, you know, you can listen to the podcast while you're browsing through Facebook. It'll play straight through there. So, you know, it's easier. Accessibility. Also, please go to Spotify, Facebook, and Apple Podcasts and give us a rating. It will help so much with just like, you know, a tidbit of exposure, and it's Black History Month. So, you know, these white people.
Boys up.
Yeah, these white people, they trying to like highlight anything. and like at all, so they can say that they did something. So get someone to basically be like, oh, these guys, they're black. Them.
Yep.
So,
hit that thumbs up on YouTube as well. It makes a big difference for the algorithm. That they've gotten rid of the thumbs down button
because of the NFT.
Okay. Oh my god, for lots of reasons. Anyway, but hitting that button helped us out a lot. We appreciate it, and leave a comment if you have some ideas or you hate everything that we said. This is the only way we'll hear from you is if you reach out to us. Yeah, listen. All right. So watch it. You can hit me up anytime on Twitter at Neural Handshake. I'm keeping it light and breezy today, so don't bring me down. Bring me up. Send me some hot shit. Somebody put out a call for black anime accounts to follow, and I need some more myself. So if you run into something, something I should be listening to, something that should be on my feed, hit a boy up.
Yeah, send that shit to James. Don't send that shit to me. Because I'm tired of getting spoiled by niggas. Like, there's so many black anime accounts that I want to follow, and I have followed before that I will unfollow immediately because niggas just post the fucking entire manga like chapter for the week like on their Twitter.
They don't give a fuck about your life.
Like, what are you doing?
They don't give a single fuck about your life.
I'm talking about like 30 minutes after it drops too. Like, I literally like don't even hop on like one of my Twitter accounts on Sunday because I'm like, I'm gonna find something from My Hero. My Hero gonna get spoiled somehow, some way. Jujutsu Kaisen, I have that shit blocked. One nigga still made it through because he didn't even type Jujutsu Kaisen. He just posted the fucking pages. Where
do you find these accounts? Like, this is the thing. I be on Twitter too, and I don't see any of this shit.
Well, how the fuck am I finding them? You're the one that actually know the damn
and I'm reading it.
The current shit. Yes, okay.
Anyway, listen.
I blame Twitter. I blame Tom, even though your ass is gone. I blame you. And yeah. Okay. Bye.
Peace out.